Hello everyone, this is Zonglin. Today I'm going to introduce our work, Large Language Models for Automated Open Domain Scientific Hypothesis Discovery. So scientific discovery is very related to inductive reasoning. Um, Inductive reasoning is about generating novel hypotheses from observations. For example, the proposal of geocentrism, heliocentrism, and Newton's law, they're all results of inductive reasoning. It is also the main reasoning type involved when scientists try to propose a new theory. However, previous work on inductive reasoning, they relies on manually selected observations so that they cannot utilize the vast row web corpus to propose hypotheses, and the ground truth hypotheses are mostly common sense, which causes problems such as it is not novel to existing scientific literature, and it has a possible data contamination problem, and it is not challenging enough for current large language models. So we make a further step in this paper, which is that we use large language models to help scientists propose novel research hypotheses. It is also falls in the AFL science domain. So how to help scientists? Um, so first, the target here is about social scientists because we believe that large language models are very capable of social science since in their pre-training corpus, a very large proportion of the corpus are related to social science. For example, the business reviews and all the news and all the stories, they all contain some description of the society. So previous, so currently the social science, so what is the paradigm for social science researchers to conduct research? So basically, they read from the raw web corpus, which contains the 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 the, the news and the previous literature, and they obtain information and propose hypotheses from scratch. And we propose a new paradigm here, which is that our LLM-based framework will help to look into the raw web corpus instead to save their time. And our framework can propose like mostly valid and probably novel social science hypotheses, so that social science researcher will only need to look into our automatically generated hypothesis and pick for high quality ones and for further research development. So we can imagine that if the output here is in high quality, then this automated framework can hugely reduce the research circle of the and largely boost the productivity of scientists. Um, so how social science research are conducted? So we can see a social science publication example here. The background is about the impact of facial recognition to society, and their inspiration is about herding effect. So their main hypothesis in this paper, published in a top social science journal, is that when a former customer uses facial recognition to make a payment, later customers are more likely to use facial recognition for their payment as well. So we can see that this hypothesis is basically an add up between this background and this inspiration. So basically, background add up inspiration equals hypothesis. So that's an intuitive understanding how the research, how their hypothesis is. Um, with this motivation, so we developed this framework, which covers one base framework in black and three feedbacks in three different colors. So every rectangle here is a module, which a module is a large language model with a different prompt. And the base model we choose here is GPT 3.5 and also Cloud 3. So we have like two set of experiments. Um, so given the raw web corpus, so the first as we have analyzed in our previous example, the first job is to find the background, and then with a proper research background, the next is to find the proper research inspiration, and then with a background and with the inspiration, we can propose a hypothesis. So this black part is developing based on the understanding of how social science research is conducted by human scientists. But there's still many problems. For example, the generated hypothesis might have various problems, so we might want to refine them. So therefore, that's the motivation for the development of present feedback. And also, there are also past feedback and future feedback. We will check them one by one in details. For the present feedback, so firstly, we can understand this framework as a multi-module framework. Um, like module, if they operate in order, and like firstly this module 0, and then module 1 is inference, and then ultimately it's like probably module n, and we can represent every module i's output as like output I, and we can represent the feedback to output I as the feedback I. So for the present feedback, we define it as, so it is the green part here, when output I can be directly evaluated and provide feedback I, then we can feed the previous output I and their feedback to the module I again to regenerate the OI. So it's quite similar to self-refine because it's kind of a concurrent work. We have we propose three aspects here. They're clarity, reality, and novelty. So they are based on the requirements of inductive reasoning. Okay, so for the past feedback, so it is the same here, and the only difference is that like for some generation from some of the modules, it can be directly evaluated. For example, the hypothesis can be directly evaluated. We can know whether it's novel and whether it's valid. But for some intermediate generations, for example, the inspiration, it's very hard to directly evaluate it. For example, let's say the framework has chosen the inspiration as like herding effect. Then how can we understand like the quality of it? So the key question is, we cannot evaluate it, whether it's a good inspiration, until we know like what hypothesis this inspiration can lead to. So here we describe past feedback as, so when output I cannot be directly evaluated, the framework continues to run until output j, where j is larger than I, where output j is highly influenced by output I, and can be directly evaluated to obtain feedback j. So here we can use the output I and output j and feedback j to obtain feedback I. So here we achieve this step by a large language model, which is the orange module here. And then having the feedback I, then we can then it's the same as a present feedback. So we just give the previous output and their feedback to the module I again to regenerate output I. So this step is exactly the same as present feedback. So we also develop future feedbacks, and we developed two paradigms here. The first is future feedback 1, which is described as like in addition to output I, justifications or reasons of OI are also provided to the next module. It is intuitive as the next module can, if the next module can receive the reasons why OI is generated, then probably can better leverage OI. And also there is a future feedback 2. It is described as like for a key module MJ, an additional module is being placed before it. So it is intuitive as like, for example, this overall framework highly relies on this hypothesis proposer, but we might want an additional module to alleviate some of the reasoning burden of these key modules for it to have like better performance. So what are the results? In general, the base framework outperforms the baseline, and the feedbacks can progressively further improve. So here we use GPT-4 evaluation and expert evaluation. Expert evaluation means like 3 social science PhD students. We can see that so we're using 3 metrics: valueness, novelty, and helpfulness, each in a 5-point scale. So we can see that the mood space outperforms the baseline, and the 2 feedbacks can further improve. And also for the present feedback, it can outperform the baseline without present feedback. And we also have some qualitative analysis. For example, this hypothesis is generated by our framework, and its score is evaluated by 3 social science PhD students. We can see that it receives a 4-point novelty score. And 4 points means the main argument or several sub-arguments of the hypothesis are novel. So it is quite a high standard. So even human scientists, it's hard to achieve it. And also we can have some hypotheses which even have higher scores by evaluation. Okay, so that's the paper. Thank you for listening.